So I do try and keep all the paper trails as much as I can. I think they're really important to centering yourself in the chaos of life. Hey babes, and welcome back to my channel. Editing Maiga here. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Maiga Vidal and I'm a musical theater writer, and on this channel I share my progress with all of my theatrical projects, from plays to musicals to producing for other musical theater writers. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Any of that interests you, or if you're interested in new musical theater work, please consider liking, subscribing, all that good stuff. I am currently traveling. Yes, I know, more traveling away from my current setup, so I'm just holding the camera here. And you may notice something different about my hair, but I will not mention it because it gets its own little thing and it's looking pretty rough right now. But sometimes you just need to record an intro no matter how you feel. Anyway, question of the day. Have you ever had an office, or do you have like a dream office setup? This vlog is finally the office tour of my office back in California, because now that I've left, I feel pretty safe sharing it without, the fear of the internet. And I have to say, so far that one is my favorite. I love everything about it. It took me 3 years to put together, and it's just one of those things that I'm so thankful to have had the time and the resources to do. Let me know if you have a dream office setup, maybe on Pinterest or something. I know that I've been putting stuff together. With that, I'm gonna plug the Patreon real quick. It's only $1. This week's vlog post is about online boundaries, which will affect the vlogs here. And we are now 4 patrons away from me sharing the guts of my script. And as of recording this intro, I'm actually starting to write something new, which is so exciting and I can't talk about yet. And with that, oh God, my skin. Let's jump into the vlog. So as of recording this video, it is June 30th. That means that by the time you see this video, I will no longer be in this space, literally. I am moving cross country. I talked about it in an earlier video where I break down my 1-year plan. So if you're interested in seeing that, watch it. But with that comes the fact that this office, which I've spent 3 years putting together and growing to my liking, has to come down. I'm actually going to be starting the packing process this week. And as a way to remember it for future me, and as a way to share it with you as hopefully some inspo, I want to take you through it. And so with all that out of the way and my immense fear of how I look on camera when I'm not wearing my safety blanket of my glasses, let me walk you through my office. So this is my office door, nothing fancy. The one thing about it though is that it doesn't open like a normal door. You have to lift it up. And it's the only door in the apartment that does that, and I've always loved it. Anyway, this is how it looks like. Hi, Jack. When you walk in, it's just kind of a 360 view of the place. But I will be breaking down all the sections and giving you cute glimpses of the boy. So let's start at the entrance. Here, let me close the door. So first I have these IKEA hanging things. I bought these when I first moved, and as you can see, 3 years later, still in the packaging. I should probably use them for that horrible cord management, but I just never got around to it. So ignore that. Next we have my amp, which is serving as more of a bookcase. I'm going to be donating these books to my local library. Here we have my big keyboard area and my main instrument area. This is the piano that I practice on and I tend to write on. And when I'm having lessons with John, if he needs a pedal or something more realistic, this is where I sit and I compose. This is where I put him. It's a little place for a computer. So if I'm recording and laying down tracks on piano and I don't want to use a MIDI controller that I have over there, I'll sit here. As you can see, music stand. I have a lot of just like things I'm inspired by and musical theater books here. Working on a song by Anais Mitchell, Assassins, In the Heights, my Hadestown playbill, putting it together, how Stephen Sondheim and I wrote Sunday in the Park with George, my Assassins book, and this is the first draft of Café con Leche. It just sits here on my desk to remind me that I did something. On the wall, it's pretty empty, but I do have two things that I reference when I'm scared or forgetful. I have a piano chords worksheet that I've literally had for, I don't know, maybe 7 years, with just your basic chord shapes. And then I bought this about a year ago. It's the chord wheel. So if you ever writing a song and you know what key you're in, for example, let's say we are in the key of F, you can see kind of all the chords that are there. It shows you the diagram. So 1, 5, 4, 2, 3, 5, and then 7, and then this is your 2, 5 if you want to switch keys and stuff like that. So it's very cool. It's been very helpful for composing and just a very nice, easy visual tool to see kind of the relationships between chords as I've been growing my chord understanding. This right now is my go-to bag. It is a vintage Barnes & Noble's book bag. I found this like in mint condition on the dumpster where I live. It was like laid so you could pick it up, and then my husband washed it and just destroyed the paint, but I still love it. It fits everything in here. I currently have like my music theory notebook and some chargers and pens and stuff. On this side is obviously the window, one of the most important parts, but just some art my husband and I have bought and have been gifted. That's just Avatar art. We love Avatar. During the pandemic, I got really into, I don't even remember what that is called, needlework, but I made those two and I hang them up. My plan originally was to hang up more art, but I just never got around to it. And then finally, my guitars. I haven't touched them in a while, as you can see. Maybe a year now, because I've been writing primarily on piano again. But that's my baby, my Martin right here. My electric guitar I got for my birthday. That is my Cordoba Spanish mini guitar, which I absolutely love. And these are my husband's instruments. He has a ukulele, a mini Taylor, and then a full-size guitar. I haven't even used my electric guitar more than once. It's just my desires for writing have completely changed in the last year and a half. Oh, also fun fact, last thing about this side is obviously I have some like mic stands and just some other gear from when I was trying to do more open mic stuff. But I just want to talk about my favorite thing. This chair, it leans back if you push on it. It's so nice. I love this chair. I brought it from my home. Both of these when I was living with my parents. This was the first thing I ever bought with my big girl corporate paycheck. So just nice to carry these on. Next, we have Jack's little bed. This is where Jack hangs out. He knows when I'm working, he'll just stay there and sleep. He has to be covered if he's trying to seriously sleep. So he gets his own blanket. I had this blanket when I was an undergrad and now it's Jack's. Let's get to Jack for a quick Jack break. As you can see, he's being the splootiest sploot and currently nibbling on one of his many toys, which makes us perfectly cut to his toys. They literally litter everything, and this is like when it's pretty cleaned up, but this is his favorite. I was about to point with my feet, but then free feet on the internet. That's Mr. Candy Corn. That is his favorite toy of all time. We have that since he was a baby and he loves it, and as you can see, he's a bit of a munchy boy. Just tears everything down. Before we head to kind of the big one, I'm going to turn myself around and let's talk about the bookcase. At the very top of the bookcase, this is actually the top of a grandfather clock. It was my mom's and it was meant to be mine, and I didn't want to leave without it anymore, so I brought it with me and it currently sits on top of my bookcase. There's just some like, you know, fake plants there to give it some color and vibrancy. And that little Mr. Panda there is a gift I sent to my husband Max when we were dating. And we put our coins there. We don't really use that much cash, but it's nice to have. These are my Squishmallows, both of which were given to me by my sister. Next to them is Tom Nook and KK Slider. First time I got into Animal Crossing was during the pandemic, so having them here, it just represents 2020, 2021 for me. My friend David, when I was living in Hawaii, he gave me this egg shaker. So I have it sitting up here in case I need it. Next here we have What's Going On by Marvin Gaye, the Target exclusive. My friend Paloma got me this. I haven't even opened it. What's Going On was my favorite album of 2020. It is, in my opinion, the most perfect album ever created, and the fact that it doesn't have a musical yet really stresses me out. In my opinion, it has the most perfect A-side, no skips, and my favorite song on there is Save the Children musically. I think as a producer, Marvin Gaye, great. And lyrically, Flying High in a Friendly Sky, it's great. I know he's a bit controversial, but coming into this album, it's incredible. And behind that is my also non-opened vinyl of Band on the Run, one of my favorite albums of all time. McCartney is one of my favorite songwriters and definitely a guiding light for me. These two records, they definitely have influenced me a lot in my writing process, and I just adore McCartney's use of melody and Marvin Gaye's production style and vocal style and just words and arrangement. It's great. Next, let's talk about row 2, which is a bit of a mess right now. It usually looks way nicer, but I didn't want to clean up too much. These are all the notebooks that I've written in since the beginning of my musical. These are my big 3 reference books. Here is my traveling Akai MIDI keyboard. I rarely use this nowadays. It has a broken key and I prefer to use that MIDI keyboard that's under there. We'll get to it. But this is very nice still and I love it as decoration. This tarot spread I use mostly on stream, and then just some fun little knickknacks I've developed over the years. This is some coasters. They're very old now. I bought them on Etsy, but they are Joni Mitchell albums, and I had these at work when I was working corporate, and they kept me sane and hopeful. Can't remember the name of this instrument, but I also love it. And then as you can see, more dogs. Just everywhere dogs. I actually have 2 of these, one for my husband and one for myself. Just lots of books and reference stuff. Let's move to the sides. These are just bags that I like. This one's been with me for maybe a decade. My mom got me this for Christmas just to carry stuff. I got this one from the Drama Bookshop, this one when I went to Hadestown, and here's my favorite, my ELO bag that I bought at my ELO concert. They're my favorite band, or one of them anyway. I just have a lot of bags and totes because I'm that girl. Next we have the 3rd row. That's my husband's camera lens. He is a photographer. Just some books here that I love to read. This is just for pleasure reading. I got that back there, that little world at Goodwill, which I love. Poor Mirio is on his side right now. But yeah, my other favorite show in the whole world is My Hero Academia. I got him for my birthday this year, and then All Might and Mirio are there. Just this is stuff for my hand. I just leave it nearby so I can just grab it, and batteries. There's nothing special about that. But yeah, these are just books I love. Poetry. I have Dear Evan Hansen. I've been meaning to get into the musical because I don't understand both why people love it and the backlash. And just some poetry books and things I love. Underneath that, containers of stuff. Some of it is gear, as you can see. I have when I'm trying to lay down guitar or piano for a MIDI. When I want to lay down real instruments, I'll use my Scarlett, but I just haven't been needing it recently because I haven't been really producing very much. And now that I'm moving, I'm going to be using these again and putting them together. So it's going to be very interesting. Underneath here, let's see. This is my backpack that I travel with. It's great for everything in the airport. Highly, highly recommend. Bought it like 6 years ago. Still use it. Here I have some international Chilean chargers when I was going to travel. My records, some more reference for production, paper. And here is just really important folders, including like my immigration documentation, which I obviously won't show you because duh. But also like my Café con Leche outline draft is in here, like literally right here. And here's my BMI packet and another collection of like theory stuff. So I do try and keep all the paper trails as much as I can. I think they're really important to centering yourself in the chaos of life. And so yeah, that is the entirety of my bookshelf. I'm missing lots of books that I left at my mom's, and I'm hoping to get them before I leave, like all my Sondheim stuff. But I don't know if that'll be possible. I might have to buy a second copy of the Sondheim books. Let's cut to Jack for a quick break. Little boy, how do you feel about moving? The tail wag tells us that he's happy, but maybe not. Second question, little boy. Do you know where we're going? He does not. Okay, third question and last question. Are you going to like the snow? Okay, I think the answer is no. His tail's wagging now, though. I'm sitting on the ground, so he's like, oh my God, mother's attention during the workday. Some of you guys have been telling me you've been missing the Jack content since I haven't been streaming. So here you go. Enjoy the boy. I love him too. He turned 2 years old this year too. In August of this year, he'll be with us for 2 years. Look at that little panini baby. All right, next let's jump into this trunk. This trunk holds all the notebooks I've ever written in since I started songwriting. So from 2014 to about 2020. All the 2021, 2022 stuff is now there since I've been working on the musical. There's just a shitload of notebooks, and that's all important paperwork, of course, and there's just some other miscellaneous stuff in there. These are my curtains. There's obviously a closet behind there, but that's not my closet. And with that, let's jump to this side. This is a lamp. I've had it with me forever. That is actually just a guitar case for my Martin guitar. I have it here. It doesn't really fit anywhere else. This keyboard was my husband's. I use it to write when I'm streaming or when I don't want to pedal or when I'm just looking for a bit of a different writing experience or when I don't want to plug into Logic and use a MIDI controller. This is kind of the in-between. I love it. It's a little old, little Yamaha, but she's powerful and I adore writing on her. Next we have kind of my art wall. It's pretty big, so let's start here. This is my mantra, progress over perfection. It's just show up every day. I've literally had this for years hanging here. It's one of the very first things I ever worked on. Next is La Rosa. That is the lottery card if you play Mexican lottery or loteria. It's related to like our family name because I go by a stage name online. Maiga Vidal is my stage name, but yeah, La Rosa. Next we have Sarah Bernhardt, 1905 Farewell American Tour. I got this at a yard sale. It's very cool. I love Art Deco. It's some of my favorite style of art. Sarah Bernhardt is actually someone I wrote a paper in on my undergrad. She is one of the greatest actresses of that generation. And she is one of the first women to ever play like cross-gender roles like Hamlet and stuff like that. I really adore her and I was really happy to get this. Even though at that time when I bought it, I was still definitely fighting like, oh yes, I'm never going to do theater again, but things slowly come through and I love this little it literally came like this. Next we have a painting of mine that I've had literally since I started songwriting. This is Max's actually. We have a matching set and it's literally a person playing piano on a typewriter as they write about love. As a songwriter and as a writer, I love to write about interpersonal relationships and mostly romance. So this image is always how I picture myself. This is legitimately how I see myself when I write. And so it is the most important self-portrait that I own. And it's been great to have to look at when I'm feeling lost about what my goal in life is. And it's to write about love. Next we have one of my all-time favorite prints. It's by Ty Wilson. It's the Secrets collection. This was gifted to me by one of my dad's bosses, maybe over a decade ago. I must have been in college. My mom had it for a while and then she let me bring it here. Again, I love love and I love the roses theme and the red. It just goes with everything that I have here and it makes me really happy. Next we have my 1-year plan and my rejection board, all of which I talked in detail in another video, so you can go watch that. Let's turn into my favorite section, literally just like my art wall. This is a portrait of my family. When we first got Jack, he must have been like 4 months old there. There's obviously the fairy lights. All Might or Small Might. Here is the Tick Tick Boom poster for the Moondance Diner. That's when I went to see Assassins at the East West Players. This is the Ricardo Arjona keychain that I bought. Christmas card. Momo is my favorite, so she got her own keychain. This is something my husband bought for me literally when we were dating. It's things I worry about, things that can happen, and things that do happen. Obviously, this hasn't been staying up to date in terms of politics and stuff, but it's been nice to just think about. Here I have some playbills, Hadestown, which is the Pride playbill, my very first one, and Diana the Musical, which got sent to me by a nice Twitter mutual, and then some pictures and just beautiful art of places I've been, cards I've received. Can't have Paul without John and Yoko. Next on the list, before I show you my desktop, which I do want to talk in detail about, here's my little cart. Originally it was you know, a tea cart. I'm actually going to take a drink of this because I'm so thirsty. But it later actually became really functional desk space, because even though this looks pretty big, when I have a whole keyboard here, I don't have a lot of space. So here I have just my books for studying and some note taking. As you can see, this is my phone case, which I'm currently recording on. It's got Momo on it. I told you I'm obsessed with My Hero Academia. Underneath is all the stuff here that I use for streaming, or just extra stuff like Post-its and keyboards and my Switch and Jack's snacks. And here is my trash can, just paper and some like necessities. Like during winter, I had a little heater here, just some light bulbs for the light bulbs there. Here stands kind of my main computer. I have some pencils and stuff for my glasses. And I have my candle collection down there. I found that I'm allergic to candles, which I did not know until I bought a lot of them. And I'm hoping that it's actually a ventilation issue, because like there isn't a lot of ventilation in this room. As you can see, I've burnt through all of my candles that are scentless. All right, so this is my spinny chair. I got it from a friend, Hilda. They live in Idaho now, funnily enough. She left it when she was leaving California, and it's been super comfortable and I'm very happy for it. This right here is my streaming camera. So if you ever see me from like this angle, I'll insert a clip. It's coming from this camera. It's been very nice to show more of the process as I'm writing. This is my recording microphone. I don't use this for work or streaming or anything like that. This is purely for recording. I worked with this company and it's great. Highly, highly recommend this microphone. That's the Jack cam, which shows the boy. I guess we're going over my desk first. This is my little lamp. I still have all the Christmas ornaments because I love Christmas year round. Here I have another item from My Hero Academia. It's my Izuku Midoriya little plush. This is my husband, Angry Bird, like Grumpy Bird. We got him in Hawaii. Here is another Tom Nook, because I love Tom Nook. He's actually my favorite character from Animal Crossing. My Ethereal Visions tarot deck, which I use all the time. Another plant. Here's actually a little clock that I use more as a stand. Here's my ring light that I use when I'm streaming and there isn't enough light. As you can see, just some more miscellaneous little stuff like my glasses case and tape and post-it notes. This is my Blue Yeti mic, which I use for streaming. If I'm streaming, I'm not using the Mac, which is what I have plugged in right now. I'm using my Windows tower there. This is my desk. On my desk, I have a fully functional MIDI keyboard. I can pull this out, connect to the Mac, and have it ready to go. Also, this is the Dice of Truth. If you've been to my streams, you know what that is. My desk is pretty empty on most days. I do have a coaster and a little thing to cover it so that it doesn't stain it too much. And then my iPad, which I use for everything. I mostly love the back. It has all these stickers. Yeah, I really like Avatar and I like hiking and I like my Cowboy Bebop, and I'm waiting to add those stickers to there. I don't know why I haven't done it yet. I have two sets of keyboards. This one's for my PC. I use this mouse for both. I just plug it in over there. And then this is the one I have for my Mac. I love it. I got it just for writing and typing, but I also love obviously typing on the laptop. This is what my desktop looks like. It's taken me a while to come up with a desktop that is both functional and pretty. I still, of course, will always have the best Beatles record. I mean, it's not even a question. And this is my functional desktop, divided from work, personal, YouTube, and musical. It's just been really functional to see everything right as I need it. And this gives me the same feeling as all of this. Like, it's taken me a while to get to this point, but because everything is so functional, it just feels good to sit down and write because I've given myself the perfect conditions. I look at this literally, like I'm sitting down on my chair right now, and this is what I get to look at every day when I sit down. And it's honestly perfect. And so that wraps up my office tour. I've never really done one of these before. I'm sure there's a way more aesthetic way to do an office tour, room tour sort of vibe. I am going to miss this space so much. I know where everything is. I know where everything's supposed to be. I have an eye on Jack while I work. He has an eye on me. We work together. And it's so weird to think about the fact that I've been living and creating and working in this space for 3 years, and this space will be no more. You know, I'm never going to be in this same space again. And even if I were to move back to San Diego, you know, the likelihood of getting the same apartment, of setting up everything the same, it's just not going to happen. It's definitely a time capsule in the way that this video will become for me, a way to look back at young me's workspace. You know, when I was watching Tick Tick Boom, as I mentioned, like I have the poster here, it was like a really touching movie as someone who's like legitimately writing a musical right now. It was so nice to see that space. And even though, like, you know, we are generations apart, he was literally 30 in 1990, we still surround ourselves with things that inspire us, both visually and books and just everything, and keyboards. It felt so nice to be seen in such an intimate way. And this is the first time I've ever had my own space. I'm a twin, so I've always shared my space ever since I was little. My dad even made my sister and I like a very extra long desk, but we actually sat next to each other. So it wasn't until I got married that I ended up starting to develop kind of my own style and my own stuff. And this is the first time I've ever had my own room to be able to kind of do with as I please. And it's been a beautiful, nurturing experience, and one that I don't take for granted. But if I'm being like 100% honest, this room is too big for me. You know, we live in a 2-bedroom right now, and I think one of my biggest, not concerns, that's the wrong word, but like my biggest drawback is that I feel that we don't use the space to the best of its ability. Like, I'm mostly alone with Jack all day because I work from home. And then we spend the majority of the time in the living room or in the bedroom, and I spend the majority of my time in the office. So while I know that separation of places is absolutely necessary for like your brain, I also think that I want to get the most bang of my buck, and I think that just comes from being poor and living in like a really, really, really small place. With all those things considered, I'm excited to see what this new space will be and whether I like it or not. And to be fair, we're not going to stay there very long. So however it plays out, I will be setting up again. And so with that, thank you so much for sticking around for my office tour. How do you set up your office? I'd love to know. If you want to share some photos with me, join me in the Discord. And so with that, I will see you next time with a new video. You want to say bye to the people, Jack? Come here. Right here's the boy. It was very sleepy.